Thanks a lot. So, I don't have any slides about me or my companies, but I tell you a little story why I talk about this topic. When I came into online marketing, I did it because I had a company doing events. And we got fined by doing illegal stuff on the street, and then we had the idea to go to the internet. And I started to develop a bit, so I have a bit of background in that, but I started very early on, so I'm definitely no developer anymore. And I went later into marketing. And I founded some companies. One is a SEO company, which is called the Digitalisten. At the moment, we're 18 people in Austria, working only on SEO. And I really love to talk about the tech SEO because I think it's really a topic that personally makes fun for me. So I start and tell you a bit what is SEO. One slide about it. So SEO has 3 pillars, which will always get shown. We're only talking about the tech platform today. So we're talking about why are SEOs interested in the tech platform? And I can say the word which is all about is accessibility. So SEOs think about making websites accessible for Google, but especially nowadays accessible for users. So I think that's why SEO is pretty interesting for developers and makes some fun. On the other hand, the core of SEO is always content on the platform. We don't talk about this today. And the third pillar is something like, we call it brand authority. In the former days of SEO, it was called link building or something like that. That was a bit more techy, and some tech guys made some funny stuff and maybe hacked some sites and included some links. That's definitely not how it works today. Today, it's really about that Google is very intelligent about everything and takes a look at the brand authority in different angles. And also their former CEO, Eric Schmidt, famously coined that brands are the solution, not the problem. So when we go further into SEO, the question is, who is responsible for SEO? And this is the funny stuff for me. It's something SEO normally belongs to the marketing department. And that's why we talk about in SEO something like the battle between the really smooth, very elegant guy with the money, like the madman in advertising, Don Draper, versus the nerds. Who knows this one? IT crowd, yeah. So, but the good thing when we think about SEO on a tech perspective and on a dev perspective is, yeah, we can get some additional money for our technical platform. That's great because it comes from somewhere else, somewhere where the rich guys are sitting, the marketing department. So let's use that money and make some good stuff out of that. So what is the workflow for technical SEO? And I want to go a bit into depth into this because I think it's really important to understand it. And in projects, it's very often a very big problem there. So on the one hand, it's about new SEO features. And this can also divide in 2 different pillars. So the first thing is we have an existing website, okay? So it's a website which is live, and we look at the MoonCom website and look at the Core Web Vitals. But there can also be, for new SEO features, can be something different, like it's a website that isn't live. It's a website we're developing, and it's a website which should go live. Sometimes, launches can take some time. Sometimes it goes live planned in 1 month. Sometimes it happened that it takes 2 years. We had all this. So when we think about new SEO features, this is typically what we talk about, and this is, okay, and this is what marketing understands. So the marketers say, okay, I give you some money, I need some new features, I need some new stuff, it has to get better. The other pillar which we talk about, they totally don't understand because this is nothing which marketing can understand. So marketing says, okay, yeah, we have this existing platform and this is the MoonCom website, and oh, Google benchmarking says it's crap. So I go into depth a bit further into the topic of the Core Web Vitals on a tech perspective, but I want to show you the other platform. No, one more word about this, because to make the distinction between existing websites or not live websites, what they're called. So when we have this existing website, yeah, we see, for example, a recommendation is to serve images in next-gen formats. So here, the Google, for example, says, okay, we see it a bit later. No PNGs, let's go for WebP, for example. Okay. When we think about it's a not live website, it's a completely different process for us in developing, because we think, okay, yeah, this is a feature on our plan. We develop to do it only in WebP, for example. So, and then there comes this stuff, which is for us really very important, and which marketing totally doesn't understand. So, it's about the stability of key features on a technical platform. And very often, this is the most important thing for big retailers or websites with a lot of traffic that nobody really understands. Also in development, this is also something in development a bit, the one are only dev, the other is like the IT, which looks for stability. It's also there not that easy. But marketers say, okay, why the heck shall I pay some money that nothing gets better? I pay money for that, nothing gets worse, but they don't understand it. So on this perspective, for us as SEO agency, we're really doing a lot of stuff on technical monitoring to be able to tell people that it's getting worse on the platform. And there's, in monitoring on this stuff, there's the funny part. Normally in marketing, you monitor and look at KPIs, something like revenue or maybe SEO traffic or stuff like that. But when you look at that, you're very late, because it happened, and this is the effect what happened. So it's something like you cure something, some illness when you're really sick. That's not a good idea, so do it beforehand. And you have this tool, I will show it a bit later, a bit more in depth, which is the Search Console. It formerly was called the Webmaster Tools, so yeah, something has something to do with us, great. Here, Google provides us a lot of really valuable monitoring stuff. Here you can see, for example, the core Web Vitals on our Digitalisten website day by day. Okay, so let's talk about some features, and I started to talk about the core Web Vitals, so we go into depth with this. One point, the core Web Vitals is definitely which is part of this whole page experience, Google calls it, which is definitely the topic in tech SEO since, I would say, 2 years or something like that. It's not new, but Google, this word is really what Google really forces, and they talk a lot about this. So when we talk about the page experience, Core Web Vitals is one part of it. And what you will see as devs is a lot of tech SEO. You think, huh? Why SEO? That doesn't have to do anything to do with SEO. I mean, for example, let's have a look at one other web vital, which is HTTPS. So yes, HTTPS, why should SEO be responsible for HTTPS? True. But if a website doesn't have it, it's really a problem that makes SEO performance worse. But at the end, yeah, it's not SEO. A lot of that stuff at the end isn't SEO, but the funny part is that, yeah, marketing has a lot of money. That's why some of the tech stuff got to SEO, and SEO can reinforce it at the companies. So let's go a bit deeper in the core Web Vitals. This is 3 metrics, which is which is the LCP, the largest contentful paint. It's about loading, the first input delay, which is about interactivity, and the cumulative layout drift, which is about visual stability. So these both are very much related to page speed. This one is a bit different. And with this core Web Vitals, Google also made clear benchmarks, which is pretty nice. Because before we had this, for especially in page speed, there were so many different metrics. I mean, I guess you know it, and it was really hard to say benchmark-wise, because yeah, we come from marketing. They love benchmarks, so it was really hard to say is it good or bad. I mean, yeah, on this very high level. So when we dig a bit deeper, and we will dig deeper step by step into the core Web Vitals. One important thing to know is, and you definitely know it, that yeah, every URL is measured individually. Okay? So the typical thing, opening a tool which is pretty easy, like the PageSpeed Insights, and have a look at the home page, normally doesn't make a lot of sense on an SEO perspective, because the home page normally ranks #1, and you can work hard to make it really a bad experience, but it's difficult that Google doesn't rank you #1 for your homepage because it's your brand traffic, and Google wants to show you #1 on your brand traffic, so that's easy. So the important part is to separate the page, and we always talk about different page types. So we go over a website and cluster it into page types, and the good part is normally Dev also does it because they talk about page templates. So they design page templates, and this is what SEOs call the page types. And as said, we have a really good monitoring tool. We can look about this all in depth, and we can go further deep and, for example, really look at page templates in the Search Console, and then have a look at, okay, which are the metrics which really have the problem. For example, this page has the biggest problems with the CLS, so it's not page speed, it's the cumulative layer shift, it's the visual. So everyone knows what CLS is? Yes, great. No, not everyone. Okay, this is when sometimes something jumps in the front end. So it's really funny because you want to hit the button and it jumps. Yeah, great one. Makes really a lot of fun as a user. So, okay, you can really, and that's really nice because Google provides us tools which are very often, like the Search Console is not part in the dev teams. They don't see it, and they provide really a lot of very valuable information. What we learned is the process we do it is that SEOs, which are, I would say, mostly marketing because we get paid for marketing, and a bit tech, hopefully, and hopefully they align together and really love each other. So we make the analysis and really dig deep into it and show and provide that to tag them. But the analysis at this part, they don't have any concrete tasks. This is really trying to fit together where should we do it. Because we take this data and we also take data from the performance part, put this together and say, okay, maybe we should work on this because this page template has the biggest impact in SEO, and so that would be a good idea. So, and when we dig deeper into it, and one funny thing is also when you look at the tools, this is the same URL as you see. The tools, because when you look at your browser data, this is not stable. So I hate when people say, okay, we are at the moment 50. That's not true. I mean, these are benchmarks. This is, I guess, 5 minutes later, so it changed. But the really interesting thing, and now we go really a bit deeper, is when we think about, okay, we know that, but we really want to know what are the recommendations? Where are the tasks that we should work on as devs? And also this, when you can see, also these tasks can change. So it's really, really important to have a good analysis based on where should we do it, and on the other hand, go deeper and really look at in more measurement points, which are really the task we should go for. Because here you see the most important second task, for example here, preload key requests. Here it's, for example, eliminate render blocking resources. Same URL, 5 minutes later. So when we go into tasks, something which is also pretty interesting is that when we work on tasks now and say, for example, okay, a task where we can start, and it's in fact, it's really a, it's a question how you call it. I would call it tasks, and later we talk about tickets. So these are really the concrete points we're working on. So when you, for example, have the tasks to serve images in next-gen formats, and okay, we make tickets out of it. Then it's pretty interesting to think about where does that stuff help. So we have some tasks, like for example, next-gen image formats, that typically help on a wall domain. So when we roll that feature out, woo, the wall domain. But the most problematic stuff, where we see the biggest problems on all websites, not all websites, but the most websites in Austria that I see, and the most clients we have, lie into something like remove unused JavaScript or remove unused CSS. And this is really hard. But the thing is, you can't do it on a domain level. This is always related on a, I would say, template level, or like the SEO call it, the page type level. So here it's then really very interesting to say, okay, which are the page types where I should do it? Because with, for example, on a big client, we have 20 page types. Okay, we won't do it on all page types. We won't do it on the 2 page types that are really important for SEO performance. For example, in e-commerce, it's typically the page type which are the category pages. On nearly all e-commerce sites, the most important page type are the category pages. Okay, and then we dig deeper, and sometimes we really have it on an individual URL. For example, we have a client, which is, I can name the client, which is Ernst & Young, EY, and they are an international company. So for SEOs, they're a really bad case because we can't do anything on this platform in Austria except some content. But the funny thing is, sometimes you can also do something on an individual URL. And what we did there with a lot of success is we took the images away, we sized them, we did it with an online tool, compressed them, which is really handwork, and loaded them up again. Had big effect. Okay, so if you really want to make it structurally, you have to crawl the website. And when you crawl the website, I go really fast about this now. You get something like, you can look for this task and say, for example, these tasks are pretty okay, nothing to do. And then you find some tasks where you get, okay, here are the big chances to get progress and to get better. And really quick into two of those probabilized images and next-gen image formats. Yeah, and then it really goes into tickets. And now we can something like formulate the ticket, and for example say, okay, we go for WebP, how to do it, and or we go for AVIF, or in image sizing we can do the same. Okay. So next big feature part, we talk about structured data. Time? Yeah, it's okay. In structured data, I want to show you something because I really like structured data and I think it's very valuable for devs, and it does make a lot of sense in SEO. And the thing is, for me, it's like the progress from an alt tag to machine learning. Okay, what I'm talking about. So we take a look at the main picture. We're again at the MoonCom, and we see, oh no, no alt tag. Okay, formerly it was really hard for Google to understand an image. So we really had to name and tell Google, okay, what you can see on this image. So that was the alt tag. But nowadays, Google's very intelligent, and I'll show you something. I took this picture, loaded it up to the Vision API. You can do it, you can test it. And then we can see how are they labeling, clustering it. And okay, they say, they're persons. Great. I think it's a good conference. We see primarily joy. Great. Okay, there's the people who really enjoy the conference. And we see, okay, it should be a conference, okay? There are many persons, there are chairs, it's in a building, it's a great interior design, and so on. And we say, okay, yeah, they not only enjoy it, it seems to be a straight conference because there is no warning about adult features or racist stuff or violence. Perfect. So now go to structured data. And structured data is something like the alt tag. It's super basic. You expected me to talk about ML. No, not today. I talk about really super basic stuff, and it's simple tags. And you can, when you include the tags, you get something like SERP features. So you get features in the search engine result pages which are really valuable. Like, for example, you very often have to see, will have seen something like this feature which shows the FAQs and stuff like that. So including that stuff is super basic. And the really important part is, here is where SEO needs both sides. They need content and they need dev. So maybe someone from content says, okay, we have these page types, and this page type should include, for example, this feature. Then they hand it over to tech. Here we have the code description. You see it's very basic code. I should be able to do it. There are some cases where structured data is a bit harder. Okay, and then next part is, okay, we can monitor it again. Wow, interesting. We can see, do we have any faults, for example? Okay, here you see in the Search Console something for product markups, and we can see, okay, there occurred some errors. What happened? We go into depth. Okay, we see there's a missing price, maybe for product, not perfect. Why is that? Maybe because we have some problems with products. In this case, it was like that are going out of stock. Then they didn't include any price. Yeah, okay. And maybe we get also the idea that it's a good idea to keep the price, because when the product's coming back, the page will rank again, or it will be stable in ranking, which would be nice. Okay, last feature part, index management. Really quick about that. What is it all about? And this is, for me, where really content and tech comes together. Because, yeah, you can do something like a special search query. For example, you want to see all the URLs of, in this case, Wine & Co., which I choose because I think it's a good idea, because maybe afterwards we drink some wine, so it could drive us into the right direction. And we say, okay, they have 59,000 URLs. Okay, let's count this stuff, thinks the dev. We're good in math. But here we need marketing, because someone has to tell us, do we have 59,000 relevant pages? Yes or no? Does it make sense? How many products do we have? How many category pages do we have? Is it good? Is it bad? I can't tell it without it. Maybe it's bad because we have way more products and way more category pages. Maybe it's bad on the other side, because there's a lot of irrelevant stuff in there. So we don't know, are we missing products, or do we have a lot of irrelevant pages? Which brings me into the main core of index management and crawling management and crawling optimization, which is and we can also really monitoring this again, very great in the Search Console. But we have to know something which normally the content team knows and the product teams know. And the key question is a URL relevant for the website user and relevant for Google? If it's that, the tag says 200. Everyone knows what 200 means. Great. If it's relevant for the website users but not relevant for Google, we're talking as SEOs about index management, and we say, okay, we need canonical tags, or we need no index tags, or stuff like that. And we very often have this case on big websites. If it's not relevant for website users and not relevant for Google, then we have two sides. The one side is, shit, it already happened. Here, shit, it already happened. So what we do, as devs, you know it, 410, go away forever. Or maybe we find something better, similar, and say, okay, 301, we redirect it there. But, and this is really important when we do launches, then we think about the future, and we think about, okay, how can we develop that application that it doesn't generate that shit? Because it really harms an SEO. So here, we stay at Wine & Co. You see, for example, yeah, there's a URL. It's server failure. Yeah, it's great. Server error, perfect. I mean, great URLs. So maybe these are the ones that we want to delete. And then, for an example, another thing is, okay, I forced it now and said, I want to see queries. What can I see there? I see the internal search of this website. So Google doesn't want to have internal search pages in its search engine result page. Because Google is a search engine. Why the heck should they show search engine results pages from an internal search? But we don't want to delete it, because when someone on the domain searches something, they should get an URL. Makes sense. Okay, so here we talk about index management, and maybe set some no index tags. And you're one slide away from the finish. What is technical SEO? Yeah, technical SEO, as I said, is the process of making a website accessible for these two, for users we love the most, but also for the Googlebot, we don't ignore. So I hope it was a bit funny. You took a bit stuff out of this, and yeah, let's do some SEO on the tech side because it really helps a lot. And for you, it's also funny because you get some additional budget, hopefully. And if it works, marketing really has budget. That's the last thing I want to say. Thanks a lot and have a nice day.